This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
There's a lot of ignorance in the Republican Party. There's a whole bunch of ignorance in the extreme wing of the Republican Party, which is really kind of melded with the mainstream of the Republican Party. And one of the most ignorant, idiotic things to say in retort to someone is, go back to your country. It seems to be, or just get out of the country. That seems to also be a common refrain among Trumpists, among people like Marjorie Tayor Greene, who I'm going to talk about again today. If you don't like the country, get out! Rather than, oh, you love your country so much, you want it to be better, you want it to change, you don't want it to remain static and just ingrained, just chipped into stone, never changing, ever problematic. I get this charge a lot. You hate our country, you communist. Even though I served for years in the United States Marine Corps, even though I served my country working for the United States Senate on Capitol Hill, these things don't matter. I hate the country. Right. And Marjorie Tayor Greene yesterday at a press conference, she was so proud of this moment, she tweeted about it. She told a reporter to go back to your country when a reporter was merely asking a question about the high numbers of deaths at the hands of guns and gun-wielding Americans every year. I'm going to read a little bit from this Insider article. Marjorie Tayor Greene told a British reporter to go back to your country amid a heated exchange over gun laws. At a press conference on Wednesday, Representative Marjorie Tayor Greene of Georgia told a British reporter to go back to your country after being questioned about gun rights. The Georgia representative tweeted a video of the exchange. Quote, when British press want to argue about our God-given American gun rights, my answer is, go back to your own country, Greene wrote. You see, she's so proud of herself. She thinks that's such a witty retort that she wants to broadcast it to Twitter. She thinks it was such an own. She owned that lady reporter that she wants to share it with the world. At the press conference, Greene publicly criticized the 14 GOP senators, including Minority Senate Leader Mitch McConnell, who had voted to advance a gun control bill. She called for them to be voted out of office. It's our job to defend the Second Amendment, Greene said. Well, I understand we don't have guns in the UK, that is true, but we don't have mass shootings either. Children aren't scared to go to school, said the British reporter, who has not been identified. Greene shot back, claiming that the UK has mass stabbings and all kinds of murder. And then the reporter said, nothing like the same rates here. And that's when she said, well, go back to your country and worry about your no guns, Greene said. We like ours here. We like ours so much, apparently, the nearly 400 million guns in this country with 330 to 350 million people. We love them so much that we don't care about piles of dead kids. Marjorie Tayor Greene is willing to defend the Second Amendment, less willing to defend children in their schools. Here's the clip, and we'll talk about it.
And it's our job to defend the Second Amendment.
Yeah, I understand that we don't have guns in the UK, that is true, but we don't have mass shootings either. Children aren't scared to go to school.
You have mass stabbings, lady. You have all kinds of murder, and you've got laws against
nothing
that.
Like the same rates.
Well,
here.
you can go back to your country and worry about your no guns.
That's very kind.
We like ours here.
Yeah. High-level political discourse there. An elected representative. Now, the article continues, and this is really the meat of this. If we want to talk about the differences between our countries and our God-given rights to own weapons of war, Marjorie Tayor Greene believes. Apparently, Marjorie Tayor Greene believes you should be able to pack around an AT-4 on your shoulder. Anti-tank weapons should be at the ready for average Americans. Because she's afraid to go into her Subway and have a sandwich made for her. All of these cowards, these weapon-stacked, ammo-packed cowards. That's what it is. It is just fear. Cowardice. But let's talk about the difference. Going back to the article, according to the British government, the UK's murder rate was 9.9 homicides per million people in the year ending March 2021. Of the 594 homicides that year, 36 involved a firearm per government statistics. 3 dozen. 3 dozen. More than a third of that, over half that happened in Uvalde. In one instance, just weeks ago. Their whole year was 36 firearm deaths. And 19 kids were slaughtered. And Marjorie Tayor Greene, we're here to protect the Second Amendment. Vile. Meanwhile, going back to the article, the murder rate in the United States was about 7.5. Remember, 9.9 homicides per million in the UK in 2021. Meanwhile, the murder rate in the US was about 7.5 per 100,000 people in 2020, or about 75 homicides per million. They're 9.9 per million. We're 75 per million. 6-7 times more. According to the National Center for Health Statistics, out of the 24,576 homicides that year, 19,384, around 79%, involved a firearm. But we're here to protect the Second Amendment, our God-given right to guns. Maybe, just maybe, Marjorie Tayor Greene would be well served by actually reading her Bible, actually emulating a Christ-like position on anything, whether that taking care of the least of these, or poverty, or refugees, or loving your neighbor as yourself. We need to take the temperature down. We can admit that things are not well in our country and still love our country. I know that it is difficult, Marjorie Tayor Greene, to hold two seemingly opposing viewpoints in your mind at the same time. I know it takes energy and cognitive ability, but I think you can do it. That yes, we do have a right to own guns under the Second Amendment of the Constitution, a very poorly written amendment, might I add. Commas where commas shouldn't be. Just it's bizarre that our well-educated founders saw fit to have this version be the version that made it into the Constitution, that made it as an amendment to ensure that the Constitution was passed. So we do have a right. The Supreme Court has held, we do have an individual right to own weapons. But it doesn't mean weapons of war. No right is absolute. Freedom of speech is not absolute. Even Antonin Scalia, the late radical right-wing justice on the Supreme Court, stated many times that the Second Amendment is not an absolute right. If it was, you would be able to pack that AT-4 around. M203s, M60s. You can just have everything. And that's not the case. So, on behalf of Marjorie Tayor Greene, if you're out there, British reporter, I apologize. We're not all assholes. What do you think out there? I would love to know. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Follow me on social media. We can talk about it there as well. I'm at Dollemore on Twitter, at Dollemore on Instagram, and at Dollemore on TikTok. It's kind of a theme, at Dollemore. If you appreciate what I do, if I am your flavor of political commentator, I would appreciate it if you consider supporting my work, helping produce what I do here and furthering the mission of this program. You can click the join button below this video, become a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month, or you can click on over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. Both those are great ways to support what I do right here. Anyway, I love you guys so much. I appreciate your time, your attention, your activism, your organization, your passion for making our country a better place. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.